Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. In this, our March 10th, 2020 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including Justice League Dark Apokolips War release date. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of Supergirl, upcoming episodes of Supergirl. We're going to be talking about Melissa Benoist's pregnancy, and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my slightly under the weather fellow castmate, co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, I've got a cold, the flu, something. It hit me this morning, so yay! But that's yeah. Don't breathe in too much, folks. I'm sure there is a way for you guys to catch whatever I have while watching this live on YouTube, which is what we want from people who watch WGBS live on YouTube and are Superman fans, and we want to hear from you. So if we don't have a lot on the docket, and if technology is willing, about halfway through the show, we'll get to you. And to do that, you're going to need Skype. Go to Skype. Search for Superman homepage, send us a message saying you'd like to chat with us live on the show, wait for us to call you, and then there's a couple little things that I say every week, one of which is, to remind you, wait for us to call you. Don't just call us because it can screw things up. And if you are using an external speaker, please turn that down because we are on a delay, especially tonight because I may start coughing and I need to mute. And it kind of messes up with the audio when you don't have that, when you don't factor in that delay.
Yep, and for those tuning in live via YouTube, we'd ask you to join in and participate in the comments there. And Michael and I will keep an eye on what you have to say, react to your comments, and answer any questions you might have. And we'll appreciate your participation in the show tonight. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. So, Michael, what are you trying to do to get over the top of this little congestion you've got going on?
I'm taking medicine. I'm drinking tea. I still have to go to work because this is America. So, yeah. But it's a cold. I mean, I haven't gotten one this year so far. So the fact that it actually took me this long into the season to get one, I guess I was doing well. But I just woke up this morning and I was just like, no, this isn't allergies. This is a cold. So
sorry to hit you.
It's not too bad. My voice is a little deeper, but maybe that's better.
We can take requests for love song dedications.
My darling.
Yes. I've been studying some viruses behind me, as you can see, just trying to get things solved.
I thought maybe you shrunk yourself down and are like in somebody's bloodstream at this point.
Yes, the Adam, WGBS Adam show. Look, let's start with movie news like we'd like to most weeks. And we spoke about Justice League Dark Apokolips War, the upcoming animated movie. We now have the official artwork for the Blu-ray DVD cover, and we also have a release date. And we now know that this upcoming animated film will be released on May 5th digitally, and will be released on 4K Ultra HD Combo Pack and Blu-ray Combo Pack on May 19th. So it's all happening. It's not that far away.
Yeah, and we talked about it last week. We watched the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We kvetched about the fact that it's R-rated, which probably just for language and violence and such. But I'm going to still watch it because I enjoyed the setup at the end of the Reign of the Supermen. And all things being equal, the Darkseid War as a storyline in the New 52 Justice League was rather good.
Mm-hmm.
It got a little silly at times, and there was the obvious cash grab of all the specials focusing on the heroes, where Superman was angry and violent. So, totally different from the New 52 as it had been portraying him. But no, I'm looking forward to this one.
Now, says culminating a 6-year animated journey that began with the release of Justice League War in 2014. Justice League Apokolips War finds Earth decimated after intergalactic tyrant Darkseid has devastated the Justice League in a poorly executed war by the DC superheroes. Now the remaining bastions of good, the Justice League, Teen Titans, Suicide Squad and assorted others, must regroup, strategize and take the war to Darkseid in order to save the planet and its surviving inhabitants. This is truly the war to end all wars, and only the victors will live to enjoy the spoils. Sounds like all-out mayhem.
Yeah, and like we said, is this the goodbye to this era of DC animated films, and are they trying to go out in a bang, or is the very last shot going to be Metron on or Night Owl on the Mobius chair getting killed by Dr. Manhattan, which actually that would be kind of cool. I would, all things being equal, if they sashay this into a Doomsday Clock movie, that would be kind of interesting.
Now, also included in this Blu-ray combo pack and digital special features, there's DC Showcase Adam Strange animated short. There's Darkseid New God Evil Classic featurette. There's audio commentary. There's a look back at Justice League Dark featurette. A look back at Batman and Harley Quinn featurette. And then they've got some Justice League action episodes and DC Teen Titans episode and a sneak peek at the next DC Universe movie, Superman Man of Tomorrow, an advanced look at the next animated film in the popular DC Universe movies collection. So looking forward to that package for that alone.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it weird that now I'm looking forward to this more now because we'll find out more about the Man of Tomorrow movie?
Yeah.
I am amused just on the ironic level that they're including episodes of Justice League action in this R-rated Justice League film. That just, like...
That is quite hilarious.
That's like DC Comics for the last 15 years in a nutshell. Yeah,
indeed. Some questions in the comments just based on what we were talking about before about your ill health. Tina asking if we've all out of toilet paper here in Australia. I think we started the trend. I was talking to you about this last week and you had no idea what I was talking about. I was going to put up a stack of toilet papers in my background here, but you had no idea that was even a thing, and now the contagion for taking toilet paper in hordes and just stacking your doomsday bunker is a thing there in the US now.
Yeah, I don't understand it because, frankly, it's not like we're going to really... I mean, we could run out of toilet paper if everyone goes and buys it all at once, but, given how crazy stocked our Costco's and Sam's Clubs and Walmarts and Targets are with this material, I just, everyone needs to calm down. We need to focus on the important part of this and the fact that, those saying that, it's just like the flu, we shouldn't worry about it. We know about the flu. We know how the flu works. We know we have projections and models, and it does unfortunately kill a certain percentage of the people that get it, but we don't know really anything about this.
Yeah, there's that's the thing.
People in a cruise ship stuck off the coast of California right now.
Yeah,
it just boggles my mind. And I work at a place that sells hand sanitizer, and apparently it is my fault that we're out. I just wanted to say, since this is a public forum, and this is going out onto the YouTubes, I have nothing to do with hand sanitizer, and it's easy to make. Look up recipes. It's basically rubbing alcohol and aloe. That's it. That's all it is.
It's funny because everywhere you go now, everyone's talking about this shortage of certain products and items, toilet paper being foremost amongst them, and people going like, initially everyone thought, we import it from China, so it's going to be scarce because, we're not... But we actually make our toilet paper here in Australia, much like you guys probably do there in the US. I think what the problem was that people wanted to minimize going to shopping centres and going out in public, and so they were stocking up on the things they needed. And I guess people just got the shits and, literally. so toilet paper was a thing. But yeah, look, don't panic. There's plenty out there. They're making more. It'll happen.
And just wash your hands.
Exactly. Pretty simple.
I don't know when washing your hands became like a novel concept. And really, when you hear certain people talking about it, like, yeah, I'm finally washing my hands, it's like, have I ever eaten in your house? Because I'm really concerned right now.
Yeah, if anything, this is teaching us all good sanitary habits. But question that, getting back to Superman stuff, enough of the coronavirus issues here. Why is this R-rated, this Justice League Dark Apokolips War? It says here in the information, R-rated for bloody violence, language, and some sexual references. Now that's probably a stock standard thing that they add for R-rated movies, but I imagine bloody violence would probably, or animated violence would probably be the thing that's foremost around the rating for an R-rated film here.
Yeah, they have, unfortunately, over the past iterations of especially of the New 52 inspired movies, sprinkled in PG-13 swearing. I always kind of bristle at this. Not that I mind swearing. I mean, I married my wife. I had, my mother. I can't even talk about that. But it's just the context of the swearing that bothers me. It just seems like they're doing it just to do it, and it feels like a 15-year-old trying to be edgy. But I think it's going to be the level of violence. I think they're really going to go for broke on terms of killing parademons specifically. Because parademons traditionally have been mindless. That was actually a big plot point in the Superman Batman Generations 3 maxi series. So, and I think they have it in their heads because Deadpool did so well as an R-rated superhero film that maybe we can do one in our animated universe. And it just feels weird.
Yeah, it does. People think, because I said SHIT here, people getting offended, not offended, but are surprised in the comments. So if people get surprised when they hear curse words or foul language or whatever in anything related to our superheroes. So yeah, it's your mileage may vary.
And I will add that the pearl clutching of swearing and stuff is not a uniquely American thing, but it's mainly an American thing because, like you watch shows in the UK in prime time, yeah, it's a whole different world from what you see here. So
yeah, I can imagine. All right, well, the only other movie news was an interesting podcast episode from Michael Rosenbaum's Inside View podcast, where he spoke to Brandon Routh specifically about his time playing Superman in Superman Returns, and the fact that it didn't live up to the expectations that he had hoped for. And I'm going to try to find a little snippet here where he talks about, the fact that a sequel didn't happen, and his thoughts and feelings on that. So just bear with me as I try to locate that particular. Here we go.
You're listening to Returns was a long drawn out process of me in denial for much of it, and thankfully I guess I didn't lean on drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
Partying, I played World of Warcraft endlessly.
I see that you're Warcraft.
And that was my addiction. And then, a few other games along the way, but that was where I lost myself and spent way too much time. It took me a long time to come to terms with that was an addiction for me.
To beat the game?
Yes.
It took a long time.
I beat Warcraft. Wait, it's still going? Wait, they keep updating?
Wait a minute.
There is no beating it.
Is there not? I've never played.
No.
You can't beat it. It just goes on and on.
No.
It goes on and on.
Forever.
Right.
As it's designed to do. And that was my therapy.
That was your escape, your
deflection.
Right.
But it wasn't helping me. It was a coping mechanism, but it wasn't teaching me things until I finally had several experiences where I had to come to terms with that. And so she was part of that. Now, I have a better understanding of what happened then. looking back, I can go, okay, I took way too long to get this point, but finally I achieved that level up as far as balance. My next phase was realizing what I had messed up, where I had screwed up.
What was the screw up?
The screw up was still learning what the screw up is. The screw up was
deflecting, right?
What was the deflecting? But why was I deflecting? And in the deflecting, I had built up this ego of who I was, and it was fear. Deflecting out of fear. Okay, so I was deflecting out of fear because I played Superman. I jumped this huge to the front of the line. I'd done auditions and I'd been on stuff before, but I really jumped to the front of the line when I did that movie.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't given what I thought I was or had earned. I wasn't getting offers except for everything.
Isn't that kind of an effed way of looking at it?
So there you have it. He's talking about the fact that he went through this whole process of not understanding what had happened, using video game addiction as a way as a coping mechanism, and then obviously feeling like he hadn't got his due as far as what his expectations were coming out of Superman Returns.
Yeah, a couple things, because I listened to that episode the day it dropped. There's a little bit of irony that he was playing World of Warcraft to cope with not continuing as Superman, and Henry was playing World of Warcraft and missed the call from Zack Snyder that he got the role of Superman. So what I'm saying is Superman likes World of Warcraft. The other was somebody did a screenshot of when Mega Rosenbaum asked him about working with Zack Snyder, and the look on his face is amazing. Like, there is so much going on, like, of what, because he didn't really go into it in much detail. Not that he should, but wow, that was a loaded question. I am surprised he was not ready for it.
There you have it. They usually prep you about what topics we're going to be discussing when you get onto a podcast, especially with somebody of the caliber of Michael Rosenbaum.
But no, Routh, in every single interview I've ever seen him in, and I heard he was on Kevin Smith's podcast a couple years ago, the Fat Man on Batman podcast, and he talked a little bit about not getting the role. And you can really tell from that conversation and this conversation that he's gone through even more of a transformation about it, more than likely because he got to play Superman again. But he seems like the nicest guy on the face of the planet. Like, just like everything you want in Superman is, I think, part of his base personality.
Yes, I think you said Snyder. I think you meant Singer.
They're both S's. I mean, and they both end with R. This isn't my fault. I have a cold.
Yeah, Bryan Singer was the director of Superman Returns.
Bryan Singer was the... Yeah. It would be interesting if Brandon Routh ever worked with Zack Snyder.
Yeah, that would be an interesting dynamic. But so check out the podcast, Inside of You, by Michael Rosenbaum. The episode with Brandon Routh is up on our website. There's a bit of video and audio, depending on what you prefer. Alrighty, well, let's move on to the television side of things, and you submitted your review of the latest episode of Supergirl, which aired on Sunday night there in the US and last night here in Australia. It was titled The Bodyguard. Kevin Costner did not appear, but it was an episode that you actually were surprised to enjoy because you thought that it was maybe sillier than it actually looked.
Yeah, that promo... really, it was the selfie at the end of the promo that kind of gave me a bad feeling. But it actually turned into a pretty decent episode. It talked about important topics, did it in a less ham-fisted way than the show usually does. I like that Supergirl solved the problem by appealing to the woman's humanity. It's what we want. It's kind of one of the hallmarks of the show. And... like, all the other little plot lines were just bubbling along just fine. I'm really happy with the way, at this point in the last season, we hadn't quite gotten to Lex yet, and it was still on the fence. Like, ever since they came back from Crisis, this show has been just firing on all cylinders and doing a really good job of mixing. Everyone has something to do, and everyone has something important to do, which I kind of like. Like, Brainy is not just there to be goofy. he's got an important part to play. Though, are they doing a little bit of Harrison Wells with him now that we have multiple Brainiacs, where we get to see him playing different versions of that?
That is interesting. A few questions. John's asking, why did William give Nia a coffee sweetener instead of something with sugar in it? I guess that's just a preference. I don't think there's anything about in there. I mean, I like skim milk when I get mine, so it's like, I guess it's just a personal preference. And the fact that he knew what everyone's preference was shows what kind of a nice guy he is. I think what they were alluding to.
And that was a smooth move, too, because if he had just gotten Kara a coffee, it would have been, like, really obvious.
Yes.
But the fact that he got Nia one, too, like, this is total high school stuff,
Yeah.
but I actually kind of appreciated that.
And then John's also saying the way William Day talks about Kara Danvers acts like he likes her, so why doesn't he know her secret identity? Well, of course, Kara hasn't shared it with him yet.
Yeah, it's and can we have like one person that doesn't know?
Exactly.
I mean, really, for a long time it was Lena. We saw how well that went. We also saw how well it would go at different times of her telling her. I'm so on the fence with William Day because I like the actor a lot. He's very charming. He's good in the role. He's no longer the aggressive jerk. And even though I really could do without any kind of romance between him and Kara, the fact that they didn't just jump into it kind of makes it go down a little easier.
Yeah. Now, the villain in this story, well, what was the name? I can't even remember what kind of a creature they were. Some kind of light.
A Chloridian?
Yeah, something like that. They purposely, in the beginning, masked the character, didn't show their face because they were trying to lead us down the path of thinking it was the man, the husband, but it ended up being the wife, and that's when they revealed that she was a woman and not who they were trying to allude to it being, to answer John's question about who was the person earlier on that we didn't see the face of. It was her all along, but they just didn't reveal the fact that it was her because I think everyone all along thought it was her husband.
Chlorophyllian.
Chlorophyllian, that's right. Yeah, chlorophyll.
Yeah. It was a good villain because unlike the villains we saw at the beginning of the season, which were just, I mean, they were fodder. They were there for Supergirl to hit, and maybe get a little drama with the ex-boyfriend of Andrea turning out to be and the friend of William Day. This one there was a little bit of heart to. And the fact that I think what really won me over was, after she powers down and they're able to save everybody, she goes, "I miss him every day." And I was just like, oh, God, hit me right in the heart, really.
Yeah, it was. It was well. That was well written. That part. Even Supergirl's, pleading for her to stand down. It was really well portrayed. As for this episode, I was not as loving it as much as you. I thought Kara or Supergirl were, other than that speech, was pretty ineffective for most of the episode. She seemed to just get... I think there was probably more screen time for Melissa Benoist's body double and getting thrown around than there was for actual Melissa herself in the costume.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of hemmed her in by having her be a bodyguard, so she had to kind of stay in one static place, except when she went to help Alex and John, and I think that Alex's part of the episode actually benefited from that because they got to focus a little more on her. But yeah, I'll agree. The problem with Supergirl sometimes is that there's not enough of the character that the show is named after.
Yes. Just answering question from John asked what happened to Win. Well, Win went back to the 31st century, and then he was in it for one more episode, which was that what was the one where she was thinking of all the different things that could happen with Mixie.
It's a super light.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was so obvious in the two things that it was just they just filmed it while he was there.
Same costume and everything.
Kind of jumped ahead and it's easy to do.
Yes.
So it's kind of like the appearances of Lex in episodes where that John Cryer wasn't in technically.
Yes.
Could be used because they just filmed it while he was there.
Same
while he
with
was there.
James Olsen. They had a flashback
Yeah.
of him in It's a Super Life, but that was from a past episode. So yeah, this wasn't a bad episode. It probably looked better, as you say, than what the promo made it out to be. And Julia Gonzalo, who plays Andrea, had quite a bit to do in this episode, and it focused on the launch of the Obsidian tech with the lenses. And obviously that's going to play out in upcoming episodes, as we'll see shortly. But you gave this a 4 out of 5, which was a pretty high score.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like, it didn't blow me away, but I think because I didn't hate it, I gave it a better score than I normally would have.
All right, well, now we have the promo for this week's upcoming episode, which is titled Reality Bites, BYTES. And that will air on Sunday, March 15th at 9 p.m. on the CW. Here is the promo trailer for this particular episode, as I just tee it up. This is obviously focused mostly on Nia Nal and her character of Dreamer. So let's check out this promo right now.
If I want to take a night off, there's someone there that can save the day.
I don't think you're the right kind of role model.
He wants me to stop being a superhero.
We will find this guy.
I'm doing this my way.
Looking for me?
So what do you think? Is this an episode where they're just giving Melissa a bit of a break, or is this an episode to focus on Dreamer for a reason?
I'm really hoping that there's some nuance to the villain. Because when I saw this trailer, and again, I need to emphasize that I'm really happy that Dreamer is part of the show. I'm really happy that we have a transgender superhero. I think representation is so important. But if it's straw man the villain, it actually does a disservice to the character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I say that as a cis white male. But it's probably, this feels like the episode that they do right before they slide into like getting up to the season finale, and it does give her something to do. It's a good focus. I'm really just going to be interested in how they actually do it.
Yeah, this feels like a filler episode.
Yeah, and that's not bad necessarily.
Just as long as it's not ham-fisted.
Yeah, because most of the season-long arcs that they develop aren't really big enough to fill an entire season. So
yeah,
they kind of have to do these episodes.
That's true. All right, we're about the halfway mark of tonight's show, so we're going to take a quick break, then come back and talk about where Alex will wear that costume. We saw her with the Supergirl costume. We know the answer now, so we'll be back to reveal all that right after these messages. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Superman movie is brought to you by Canon, the world's leading camera manufacturer.
Quick and happy.
Canavision 8 camcorders.
Hey, I thought you were Superman, huh?
Hey, I am.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
If it moves, shoot it with a cannon.
Still think that's a funny. Oh, yeah, I'm back on. I unmuted. Okay.
No, you're all good.
I thought I had to let it on mute so I didn't blow out Steve's ears during the break, blowing my nose. So
no, all good. So as I mentioned before the break, we now know where this picture comes from. We've got Kyla Lee there wearing a black wig with a black and blue Supergirl costume. This image is from the upcoming 16th episode of Season 5, titled Alex in Wonderland. Alex uses a pair of obsidian contact lenses to visit a virtual national city where she takes on a whole new persona. Meanwhile, Kelly helps William investigate Lex. Kara deals with difficult news.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where the costume comes in. I mean, that's it's a good looking costume. The wig, it's a little weird, but I guess
wigs are weird on this show. Full stop.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, it's just like, at least we know this is a wig, and they're not trying to pass it off as her real hair. Where, yeah, in the 100th episode, that was that wigage was bad.
Yes. So this episode, as I said, is the 16th episode of Season 5. It will air on Sunday, March 22nd, so after next week's episode. And we now know, of course we were talking about it last week, we thought it would be It's a Super Life, but that didn't happen. And we also have the news that Melissa Benoist and Chris Wood are expecting their first child. Now, Melissa announced this on Instagram with an image showing her holding up a little blue top, and Chris and their dogs are there, and it says a non-canine child is coming to our family very soon. And then another image was posted on Instagram by Chris showing the pair obviously playing a bit of fun there with his fake baby bump, but Chris says the baby bump was fake, but the baby news is real. And obviously, there are a lot of questions now about what does this mean for the show. They shoot in advance, so I don't imagine she's that far along. I imagine that they'll probably finish shooting all of Season 5 well before she starts to show any kind of baby bump.
Yeah, and now her stunt double will do more of the heavy lifting in terms of the physical side of it. Yeah. What it really brings into question is next season. What are they going to do, it's apparently everybody's having babies in the CW superhero shows because, you had Miss Tessmacher had a kid.
Elizabeth Tulloch, when she was playing Lois.
Yeah, she was having a kid. It's getting really obvious on The Flash that Caitlyn's pregnant.
Yep.
Because they keep putting her in these really, oversized shirts and shooting her mostly from what you see with us right now, but it's a little more difficult when you're the lead.
Yes.
So I'm more flabbergastedly happy for the news because obviously they're very happy together and them having a kid. It's a natural part of marriage for a lot of people. So, but it's just one of those things where it almost feels weird going, well, what does this mean for the show? But, it is a big budget TV show on a major network. There are financial considerations to consider, but I'm really happy for both of them.
Yeah, indeed. Now, let's think of this logistically. You usually announce a pregnancy when you're at 3 months, just to play safe. So she's probably got another 6 months to go before she has the baby. So if we're in March now, April, May, June, July, August, September is usually when the shows come back for the beginning of a new season. So she would be really full term in the period where they'd be filming episodes. So unless they delay the start of Supergirl or do a mid-season thing like they do with Legends of Tomorrow, where the show is reduced for season 6, I don't know, but I guess something will be announced later down the track.
And it could be that this is one of the reasons that Superman was taken from pilot to series so quickly. Because this does give them something in the fall to kind of roll out and fill the super gap, so to speak. Which would be interesting. Does that mean that instead of having a Superman and a Supergirl series on the same time, do they do like Superman up until like the mid-season and then Supergirl comes back? The thing is that there's so many shows now that you can kind of do that. I mean, it's less for the actors, which means less money for them, but it also frees them up to get other gigs, because a TV series, especially if you're the lead, is grueling as a schedule.
Anthony's asking, will they reflect this in the show? Will she be pregnant or have a baby in the show? No, I don't think so. I don't see that happening.
I did have a funny thought, because there was, around the time of 0 Hour, a plot point for Power Girl where she was pregnant and she had the kid during 0 Hour and it grew up really fast and stuff. I seriously doubt they would do any of that.
No. Yeah, indeed. No, but congratulations to both Melissa and Chris on the baby news. Happy for them both. And I think that takes precedence over any of our concerns about what it means for the show. But it's just interesting to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, we're talking baseball at this point. But the important thing is that they're happy and that she's healthy.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, let's turn to comic books now. And this past week saw finally the release of Superman Villains #1, the comic book compilation of stories that looks at the things from the villain's perspective, as far as Superman revealing his Clark Kent secret identity to the world. This, to quote Adam, our reviewer, was like one of those sitcom shows where they do a series of flashbacks and it's like a compilation episode.
Yeah, I didn't read it.
No, I know.
I'm so terrible. I'm just a bad co-host. Yeah, it's surprising that he didn't like it, though. I mean, maybe it's not surprising that he didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, has got Brian Michael Bendis writing it, but Matt Fraction and Jody Houser are also co-writers on this. And the thing I found most jarring about this particular comic book was the fact that the art was so different from chapter or segment to segment. There was no consistency throughout, and obviously with being a compilation book, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artists listed on as being creatives on this book. It's going to happen, and obviously they've hired particular artists for their particular look based on what chapter they're telling. But for me, that took me out of the story and made it, like I said, a jarring experience. I understand that the requirement to have multiple artists in this day and age, especially on a one-shot special like this, but I like it when they choose artists that complement each other rather than be at odds with each other's styles.
Yeah, it's like when they did 52 and they chose pencilers that kind of, you could tell there was a difference, but there wasn't a jarring inconsistency from issue to issue.
Yeah. And Tim's asking, did each villain or story have a different artist? Yes, that I think was the point, but there wasn't really an actual line in the sand, if you like, to say this is one story, this is the next. It kind of just, they weren't each individually titled, they were all just part of the same book.
Yeah, they kind of did the same thing with the Leviathan 80-page giant, but those were different stories, right? Like the Jimmy Olsen wasn't really meant to tie in too much to the overall, if I'm remembering it correctly, to the overall narrative. It was basically to just kind of set up what the Jimmy Olsen series is going to feel like. and this is supposed to tell like a narrative story of how the villain's reaction.
Yeah.
So maybe their idea was, it'll all be different and that'll be cool because it's all separate stories, but you're not putting the comic down and then coming back to it like an hour or so later.
We obviously got Clark or Superman visiting the Kents on the Kent farm in this issue and talking about the cloaking, as we mentioned last week, that is keeping their existence there private. I'll wait to see how that is expanded on coming up. But the story or the element of this particular issue that I liked the most was Toyman, his reaction, realizing that all along he had misread Superman's intentions and thought Superman was being demeaning or talking down to him, when in fact he was being earnest in his talks about, trying to rehabilitate him or whatever. And Toyman's flip in this issue was really well written, and I thought quite an interesting way to tackle one particular villain's reaction to Superman's revelation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I hate the overall concept, but that doesn't mean that the stories themselves can't be good. So, I was talking with somebody just last night, as a matter of fact, that was telling me that, the stories are still consistently good. I just have to be, prickly about this, I guess.
All right, well, let's look ahead at what's coming this week for Superman comic book fans. And these are the books that you can look forward to. We have Superman number 21, which is available in a variant cover and features Mongols, if you like. Young Justice number 14 is also out this week, and we have a new reviewer coming onto the team who is reviewing this particular book, and there is the variant cover for that. Also out this week is Year of the Villain Hell Arisen number 3 with the Joker on the cover. DC Superhero Girls Powerless trade paperback is out this week, as is Just Imagine Stan Lee Creating the DC Universe Book 1 out this week as well, which seems an interesting time to release that.
Was anybody really clamoring for those one-shots? I remember really not liking them.
Same.
Especially the Superman one.
Yes.
I just, maybe I'd read it today and have a different reaction to it, but my reaction to it was, well, if that was what Stan Lee would do if he took over Superman, I'm kind of glad it never happened.
Yeah, I was the same. It was just like, okay. Wasn't anything interesting. If it was written back in 1938, I don't think it would have caught on.
It actually proves the idea that there is something really special about the gestalt of Superman. That when people try to rethink the concept in a more either realistic or even a more science fiction element, that it doesn't work.
Yeah. So those books are out tomorrow, Wednesday, March 11th, for comic book fans. But looking even further ahead, we are expecting in the next week for DC Comics to release their, June solicitations. And they've sent us out some advanced previews for particular comic books, especially in regards to Superman, who will be having a busy June along with Superboy. We have comic book covers. This one is for Action Comics 1024. It says, next in the pages of June 24th, Action Comics 1024. The fallout from Superman villains continues as Clark Kent steps out into the world as a reporter for the first time. We also have the cover and information for Superman number 24. And Kevin Maguire joins Brian Michael Bendis to tell a tale of Superman's legendary susceptibility to magic and how a new villain is about to use that to turn Big Blue's life inside out and upside down. You can see Dr. Fate there on the cover with him. Also, for Superman fans in June, we have Event Leviathan Checkmate number 3. The Man of Steel makes a guest appearance in this next surprising chapter in DC's saga of high-stakes espionage. And then also coming out in June is Legion of Superheroes number 8. And just to show dear old dad that the heat is on in the 31st century too, Superboy makes a discovery about the future that will change everything he knows when he discovers a new Krypton. So lots of things to look forward to in June, and DC just giving us a bit of an advanced look at the solicitations this week.
You know, the last time they did New Krypton, that didn't end well.
Yes, that's true. Anthony asking, is there any word on Supergirl's title? Well, we know that it's ending in May. It was the solicitation for its final issue. That no word on whether or not a new Supergirl title will pick up at all. We don't know what will happen if that 5G thing happens now that Didio's gone. It's a lot of speculation and innuendo at this point in time.
Yeah, I still not feeling this whole 5G thing, but you know, I think the idea of replacing the main heroes with another generation just seems like a short-sighted, not something that really works out in the long term, because people want to read about the characters. You know, there are legacies in the DC universe, but Superman, despite Dick Grayson having a good run as Batman, and Wonder Woman seem to be the ones that are like, yeah, these are the ones that need to stay kind of who they are no matter what.
Yeah. So, and then also in June, we have some details on the final issues of the 12-issue maxi series of Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen. And DC sent us the details for those books as well. In Lois Lane number 12, it's written by Greg Rucka with art and cover by Mike Perkins and a variant cover by Amanda Connor. That'll be out June 3rd. And we're approaching, as I said, the final issues of both Lois and Jimmy Olsen. And, you know, whether or not those will continue on in any kind of format beyond that, we don't know. But that's the cover for Lois Lane number 12 right there. And then Jimmy Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen number 12 is written by Matt Fraction with art and cover by Steve Lieber and a variant cover by Ben Olivan, and that will hit Spinnerax on June 17th. Do they still have Spinnerax?
I think in some places there are, but it's not a common thing anymore.
Used to be all the rage as far as comic books were concerned. You know, sit there and check them all out.
Oh yeah, I mean that was my bread and butter when I first started collecting. At the Trexlertown Mall, I had spaces mapped out. There was the one at the grocery store, there was one at Walden Books, there was a newsstand, and I would just hit all three to get all the books that I wanted.
Yep, those are the days. All right, well that's looking ahead of June. As I said, the solicitations will come out probably towards the end of this week or early next week, so keep an eye out for the June solicitations on our website. But let's turn our attention to what's happening in the merchandise side of things. And Diamond Select Toys has unveiled their upcoming DC Comics Gallery Lex Luthor statue. And this statue here sees Lex don his powerful armor to take on Superman, raising his hand to fire a kryptonite-fueled blast. This sculpture measures approximately 9 inches tall. It is made of high-quality PVC and features detailed sculpting and paint application, and comes packaged in a full-color window box, and will be released in August this year. I don't have a price for it yet, but that is a pretty cool-looking statue.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of Luthor's power armor over the years. Yeah. It's like you had the superpowers one. Well, before that you had the purple outfit, which was kind of a power suit. But then you had like the George Perez design one that was made famous with the Superpowers toy. And then it went away. And then when they brought it back in like 2004, it was like this giant mecha thing, and it was just a complete turnoff. And now we're getting back to the kind of slimmed down version of it, thanks to Iron Man.
So this will actually be priced at $44.99 US. So it won't break the bank, but you can place your pre-order through our website. You'll find the link at supermanhomepage.com. So if you're interested in this, it's designed by Joe Allard and sculpted by Rocco Tartamella. And as I said, it's a pretty cool looking Lex Luthor statue. All right, also on the merchandise side of things, we've got this little short video showcasing Tim Hansen. He's the kind of designer behind the clothing that goes on the Superman Call to Action premium format figure. I didn't realize that the clothing on this was fabric. I don't know if that was just for the sculpting, but check this out. This is quite cool. Here it is, Tim Hansen turning the clothing or creating the clothing for the Clark Kent side of the Superman statue Call to Action.
Hi guys, it's Tim Hansen. I'm going to walk you through the process of putting some clothes on this Superman premium format figure. Let's get started.
What did you make of that?
It's kind of interesting to see him playing with the little clothes. I also like the fact that it kind of cheats a little bit because they take the arms off and then put the shirt on and then put the arms back in. It's just like that's not fair. No, I don't have the money for that statue, but it's a beautiful statue.
Yeah, indeed. And as I said, putting the clothing on, that was quite interesting. I didn't realize that they did it as actual fabric, and seeing him ironing the little jacket and the shirt, quite cool. Just see this insight, behind the scenes insight into how these things are made. Quite impressive.
Yeah, I think what we kind of sometimes forget, especially these high-end statues, that there's a lot of artistry that goes along into the design.
Yep.
So seeing that kind of reminds you of that.
Yeah. Now this statue you can also order through the Superman homepage website. It will be released between August and October this year, and it is a bit more pricey. It will sell for $595 US, and is limited to 2,500 pieces. So head to our website for the link to purchase that. And remember, when you do buy these things through our website, it doesn't cost you any more, but we get a kickback, which helps us to keep this website running. So make sure you buy anything Superman related through the links you find at supermanhomepage.com.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Everything helps.
Exactly. Now, I'm not a big gamer, but the DC Universe video game or online game is still continuing to push on, and they've got an upcoming Meta Madhouse Tournament of Terror, which the competition winner of this tournament will end up winning a 3-day trip to see the Wonder Woman 1984 movie premiere, which is a pretty cool prize. It says Meta Madhouse Tournament of Terror is where 64 of DC's most popular villains compete for the title of Meta Madhouse Champion 2020 and the Ultimate DC Villain. The tournament is free and open to all DC Universe members, and the winner of this year's competition will score a trip, as I said, to the premiere of Wonder Woman 1984. And leading this year's tournament are the Joker Maniacs, Darkseid Invaders, Lex Luthor Masterminds, and the Cheetah Beasts.
I wonder if the Cheetah will win, since she's in the movie.
We never know.
Might happen. That is cool, though. That is a good prize.
Yes. Now, contest entries run through March 5th. So voting begins March 6th. So it's already kind of kicked off. Ends April 10th. And for further details, head to dcuniverse.com/mmcontest for the rules and all the other details about this Meta Madhouse Tournament of Terror.
Yeah, That's really cool. I've never explored the gaming side of the Universe app, so maybe I should.
So there you have it. Do you have, by chance, any preparation for This Week in History, or am I pushing my luck?
I did.
Oh,
I did. No,
good.
I got one already.
Excellent. All right, well, let me play your intro for you, and we will...
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
So, we actually have to go to 1970 to get anything even related to Superman being released this week. It was World's Finest number 193. It was the Superman Batman story, the breaking of Superman and Batman, that actually came out on March 10th, 1970. So that's exactly, let me do the math, 50 years, or 40? 40 years, sorry. I can't, 50? Is it 50 now? Yeah, it's 50. Oh my god, I can't do math. Also, Justice League of America number 80, Night of the Soul Stealer, came out. Jumping ahead to 1980, one of my favorite covers of all times, Justice League of America number 179, where Superman basically tells the Justice League Firestorm's a member, and they can go pound sand if they don't care. Also that day, Superman number 348, The Master of Wind and Storm, came out, which was written by Jerry Conway with art by Kurt Swan. Jumping ahead to 1990, Superboy number 4. This was Superboy the comic book that was based on the television series, which I really enjoyed. That's some great Jim Mooney art in the beginning of it. In 2000, we have The Adventures of Superman number 578, which I believe was J.M. DeMatteis' first book as issue as writer of that series. Also that day, Superman Adventures number 43, Are You My Mother box, came out. That was a really good series. And then also the trade paperback for Superman and Batman Generations came out. In 2010, you not only had Action Comics number 887, but you also had Last Stand of New Krypton number 1, as we are racing towards the 10-year anniversary of that series ending. And that is it for this week in history.
Very good. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live. Once again, thank you to everyone there on YouTube for watching this show live and participating in the comments. And thank you to you, my sniffly co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike. Hope you feel better soon.
I'm hoping I'm going to go right to bed, really.
Yeah, I think you should. And a huge thank you to our sponsor and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And remember, if you want to sponsor the show or sponsor the Superman homepage in general, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $1. Now, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on YouTube and our website. If perhaps you tuned in late, missed part of the show, want to watch it back in full, you'll be able to do so at both YouTube and supermanhomepage.com. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, March 17th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for another edition of... actually, it's Daylight Savings Time, yes. For another edition of WGBS TV Live. We look forward to talking with you then. I'm glad the people in the Southern Hemisphere who this show moved an hour earlier for were able to catch it. If that wasn't you, apologise. I did put out a message there on our social media accounts, but it does now move an hour earlier because of the US having gone into Daylight Savings Time, and we'll jump an hour earlier again in another month when Southern Hemisphere moves out of Daylight Saving Time, but we'll get to that later on. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.